In this video, I wanted to talk about how you can relieve the stiffness that comes into the spine as a result of sitting too long on chairs, and especially the more common phenomenon of walking around with a phone and texting a lot, something which is very common, especially in young people. So I'm very fortunate at the moment, we all are, to have the opportunity to spend time at home. And rather than look at the negative situation that many people think they're in, it's good to look at the positive. And for me, the positive side of what I'm in right now is I can spend time with our beautiful children. And so what I do each day is give them a little bit of physical work, stuff that I've been doing myself for a long time, including working with different posture, movement and breathing to try and help the body. And so this is working with Amaliah, a beautiful daughter who's a teenager, and she's suffering some of the back problems that kids tend to have when they're, sitting on chairs all day at school and walking around with phones. And so I'm doing various things to her that I would not do to adults. And I can do it to her because, one, I know her body since she was born, and I've been doing physical things with her since she was born, including gently massaging her and manipulating her body since she was very young. And she was even featured on the front cover of a yoga book when she was about 5 years old. But in the last 6 or 7 years she got a bit stiffer, took up martial arts. She's very, very strong, but became a bit stiff in her back. So these exercises are preparing her to bend backwards to do some of the more difficult yoga bending backward positions, including the yogic backflip or backward walk over with two legs rather. So what I've done just then is get her to do a backward somersault. She obviously had to get a hair tie back thing, otherwise you push on your hair and you can tear your hair out. Then also to help prepare her, after just bending forward like we've just been doing, getting her to do these sideways active twists. And I'm demonstrating here how it's better to do it in a way where you're going in a figure eight position, down on one side and then coming up on the same side before going down on the other side, then up. So it's like a figure eight. And so I demonstrate to her and she's learning quite appropriately. It's a very good exercise to not just strengthen the core, but make it easier then to do things like back bends. So you see each time she does a back bend it gets easier, and I'm going to help her a little bit to jump over. These backward flip overs are something which when I was in my 20s and up to my late 40s I could do 100 in 5 minutes quite easily. And this was something that BKS Iyengar had showed me, and also my earlier teachers. And looks like I'm dragging her around the place, but actually she's enjoying it very much. In this next position I'm getting her to do what's called Dandelion, where you really bend backwards in the upper back. It's a very, very good position. You'll see me do it at the end of this video with her. I'm showing her now how to bend backwards, and the trick is to lengthen the back of the body first, then expand the front, and then shorten the back, and that's what I've just demonstrated just then. And it makes it much easier to drop back and then flip over. On the way back from flipping over, the trick is to bring the knees to the chest, which engages the rectus abdominis. And rectus abdominis, your six-pack muscle, is what then can really release any back compression and relieve lower back pain. Now I'm getting her to do a headstand. It's not something I teach adults very often, but at her age and with her preparation she's safe to do it. I'm going to get her to drop backwards with my support initially, and then from the backward bending position it's really a good way to open up the upper back where she's most stiff, and that's by pressing the elbows into the floor, the wrists in the floor, and bringing the armpits toward the chest. You can really extend the upper back. Of course you won't do this with most people because they tend to overextend the lower back. Also most people haven't got the strength in the neck. But one of the things Amaliah has been doing for many years is carry things on her head. Now she's doing the exercise called by Iyengar Mandalasana, which he called the quickest trip around the world, because you walk your whole body around yourself from a back bend in a headstand to a forward bend in a headstand. It's a really amazing feeling for the kidneys because you're stretching the kidneys from both sides. And after showing her a couple of times, she could pretty much do it by herself. It's something that I used to very much enjoy doing when I was younger. And then she comes up to a back arch, we flip over again, and each flip over is getting easier, although that one was a bit sloppy. Ideally you do it both legs together. I've recorded about an hour practice, and I've just sped it up by 2 and removed 4/5 of it to make a 7-minute video here, but you get the gist of what we were doing. And it was really fun to connect with her and really fun to have fun and do a part of it with her. These are not normal parts of my personal practice. This is the scorpion in a forearm balance, and this is something which is lovely to hold by yourself, and she'll pick it up quick enough if we keep practicing. And now she's keen, because she's keen to see the changes in her body, and also she likes doing silks at circus arts, and also doing some martial arts and things like this. That exercise was to traction her back, lying on the floor like I did, and now she's doing these bow positions, which are really good to open up the chest and relieve the back. And now I'm demonstrating to her how to do what's called Headstand. You have to lengthen the side before twisting, and then you can take the hand on the foot with the fingers pointing forward and do it with both hands together. Our dog Max has been sitting patiently waiting through all of this. He's a very good dog, close to 100 years old in human age. I mean, he's over 15. And now I'm going to show her how to do Kapotasana and drop back. So again, this dropping back requires the use of the rectus abdominis and the quadriceps and the hip extensors, or hip flexors rather, the psoas especially, because it's being controlled. And when the psoas is being controlled this way, it's really important to breathe into the abdomen. So she's doing it a few times by herself, and then walking up to Kapotasana, which eventually she got, and I ran out of video and she took pictures. And this beautiful Dandelion, beautiful pose, and here is her doing this Dandelion, and eventually bring the feet by the side of the head. There's no rush for this, and Max wasn't in a rush either, and we're very thankful to have him there, and thank you Amaliah for playing today.